Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. It's all about Reining Hope. That's right, ReiningHopeCounselingServices.com. And we have Kristin Mason back with us. She's from Morgan, Vermont, and it's amazing the work she's doing to really help heal so many because she believes in the healing power of horses and, of course, the healing power of you. There's a lot to her. She has a lot of experience as a Reiki practitioner, a shamanic apprentice in training, mental health and learning counselor, a riding instructor. I can't even. Let me ask you, tell us a little bit about yourself. How are you?
Again. Well, I'm a little less nervous this time because, again, this is the second time. But I was just coming in from the barn again, which is what you're going to find me doing every Thursday if I'm here on this time. And I guess I just want to let everybody know that I do what I do because I have a passion for it, right? And it's been a lifelong passion. And usually I give like a little blip at the end where I'm saying, follow your dreams, blah, blah, blah. But really, you've got to follow your heart. Today and this week, we had a full moon. So this week was a lot of self-reflection, especially after the last podcast, because I've never done one before, and kind of getting feedback from people on what they wanted to hear. So I am a licensed mental health counselor and clinical
That's what
mental
I was
health
trying
counselor.
to spit out before. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I know, exactly. And I'm also a PATH certified therapeutic riding instructor and equine specialist mental health and training. I've done, energy work on horses and alternative medicine on horses. But my lifelong passion with horses and animals in general and working with their people has always been there. It's always been the underlying thing, no matter what I've been doing.
Well, I know we spoke a lot last time about, the work you're doing, and it's pretty impressive how the healing power of your horses have helped so many. I just love, when we talk about youth, and now we're going to kind of dive into that a little more, but you're helping youth, families, children, adults, so many people. And whether it's substance abuse, PTSD, trauma, it's just fascinating what you do. And I love that you're here live with us today right outside the barn. You're in Morgan, Vermont. And just give us a little overview about Reining Hope Counseling Services before we continue.
So what I do is it's basically strength-based. It's also nature-based. I work with people where they're at, which, most therapists do, but my environment offers them the opportunity not to sit in four walls, right? We can go out on the trails. We can work with the horses. We don't have to work with the horses. So I have one dog that just loves to come in and sit in my office and be patted. Cooper is his name, and he was a rescue. So really you have to be, well, for me, my perspective is as a therapist, you really have to be flexible and adaptable to what people need in the moment.
And I love that because it's just you as a healer. You are a healer, right? I'm sure you meet a whole bunch of different array of people, and you have like a sixth sense as well as your horses, right? And you never know what someone needs, but there's always a solution. There's help out there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit last time about intuitiveness, right? We're all born with it. And sometimes it comes back to us and sometimes it doesn't. Thankfully, it did come back to me and a lot of the people that I know. Animals have it anyways because they have to survive. So they have it in order to survive. One of the things I was thinking about in thinking, reflecting on our last conversation and what was brought up, and I don't know if anybody did write in with questions, but we can certainly address that, is setting aside egos, setting aside, I'm not going to go into the whole Freudian thing about ego or anything, but one of the things that I was always taught, especially with the therapeutic riding piece, because that's kind of what led to all this, is that sometimes we need to leave our baggage at the door. But that being said, if we talk about our baggage to somebody that's a safe person, then we can let go of some of the things that are holding us back, right? So, for example, if I had a volunteer that was going through a really rough time and they were trying to help one of my students and the horse was acting up, I knew immediately, intuitively, whatever you want to call it, that something was up, right? I probably knew it wasn't my student. It probably wasn't the horse. It was something else going on. And so really it's really important to be able to find that safe person or safe space where you can let whatever you need to say out, right? So maybe somebody was having a hard time with a family member and they were holding it in. Well, the thing with horses and animals, they know. They just have this sense that something's not quite right. And when we talk about it, we let it out there. Sometimes people will, like sometimes I ask some of my clients, journal about it, put it on paper, get it out of your head, so that you can set it aside. It's almost like it's a ceremony, so to speak, where you put it on paper, you set it aside, you can come back to it later and revisit it.
I love it. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. It's funny. I'm looking up. I have stuff on. I have like post-it notes in my office of stuff I lay down. I put to rest, and then I go back and I look at it. I like that idea for sure.
I do too, because you don't have to think about it, right? You can move on to other things in the moment. So when you're coming in and you're going to help with a, horse and a rider or something, or, even in my therapy, sometimes I do put, people on a horse or with a horse. And I do need that person that I've trained to help me because I need to focus on both the horse and the person and keep everything safe. So that person is my maybe equine specialist. And I asked them to, okay, you need to like monitor the horse. Don't worry about everything else, but you need to, and of course we go through confidentiality and all that other stuff. That's,
Hmm.
sidebar, disclosure. But, I need that person to be on top of things. I need to be able to like trust that person to be like, okay, the horse is not quite, something's up. So then we talk about it where I ask the client, like, is there something you're holding back on here? Is there something that you need to tell me or tell the horse? You don't have to tell me, but you
Hmm.
need to get it out, whatever it may be. Maybe you're anxious about a presentation, or maybe you're a family member's dying or something,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you just need to share that, right? And so in order to let it out and talk about it and let it go, we need to open up. We need to be our authentic selves. And that's kind of where I was going back with the ego piece of it, is that we really need to let go of our egos and what we think we know. I'm learning all the time. I do not know everything. And I'll be the first to tell you, like sometimes I struggle, sometimes I need to ask other people, sometimes I question myself, but that's all part
Yeah.
of the process. We're all human.
It's true. We really are. Yeah. You've been in this field for a long time, and you're very compassionate, very easy to speak to, very what's the word? Empathic in a sense, right? And even with your animals, as an animal communicator, I know you do that. And let me ask you, are, people coming to you like, here I am in New York, right? You're in Vermont. We could do this virtually, or does it have to be in person to really experience the benefits of the connection of the animal of you? Can we do it this way too?
Well, I mean, obviously the best way is in person when you're talking
Yes.
about, a
Yes.
physical other being, right? No matter what it is. And, but that being said, when you brought up the fact that, maybe it's cold out, we are headed for some kind of weird storm going on over here, but so my horses are out. I'm hoping, we're gonna skip next week because we've got Thanksgiving, etc. But in December, if my, horses are in, I do want to kind of like take you for a tour. Hopefully the cell phone thing will work. I am not technology savvy, obviously, but ideally it's in person. I have taken
Yeah,
my computer out to the barn when people cannot come here just to give them a little tour
a little
and
taste.
kind of show them around a little bit, turn it around. So, there's ways, but as far as like the actual counseling piece or the piece that's, it really is more important in person. And, you know, I wish that I could be in 10 different places at once, but I
I
can't,
know.
right? And sometimes, being in a rural area, it's definitely, transportation and distance and all that sometimes can be a barrier. But that doesn't mean that I can't, with other people, share my knowledge with them. Like if they're struggling and they have an animal with them, I do have some, 9 times out of 10, somebody's animal is going to come into our teletherapy if I have to do teletherapy. I'm not kidding.
Ah,
I've had
interesting.
cats, dogs, I've had a lizard, rabbit, um, I've had kids take me out and show
Wow.
me their horses and we talk about it. So it
Mhm.
is possible, but maybe from their end, you know what I mean?
Well, thank you for answering that. And I just want to point out, when you're working with people, obviously there's confidentiality, there's safety factors as well. And for someone to gain that trust with you, what would you say is the hardest challenge with that, right? To open up and to talk to someone that you don't know, right? Do you find that it's a little difficult in the beginning? And, how do your clients or patients kind of, come around that?
Well, and I think I try to like put myself in their shoes, even though you can't totally. But I try to look at it from the perspective like this person doesn't know me from anybody. So how can I best relate to them? So finding out more about them and being honest about me with them. Sharing my experiences, sharing what I like, but also really listening to what their strengths and their interests are. Because sometimes you find that one little thread that can connect the two of you. And that's where the trust starts, right? It's
Mm,
just like with, when I get new horses here, I don't know them. Sometimes I don't even know their background. So I have to really keep an open mind and an open heart
yeah.
to what's in front of me at any given time, honestly.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. And I just want people to know how they can reach you before we continue today. And I know I mentioned the website earlier, and it's ReiningHopeCounselingServices.com, Reining, HopeCounselingServices.com. We still have plenty more time. What else do you want to share with us today, Kristen, about, the work that you're doing and the help that you're giving so many, especially you wanted to talk, I know more about the youth.
And also if somebody, wants to, I know, sometimes the phone isn't always the best option for some people, but if they do want to send me an email, they can send it to KRIS12MASE@gmail.com. That's the best way if they've got questions and stuff to reach me. So one of the things that came up in the last week was and I guess kind of like moving forward to not only just children, but also people and their animals, because I think this is kind of coming back around. I believe in the last session we mentioned that, or I mentioned that at one point in time I wanted to be a veterinarian, but then I said to myself, like, I can work with people and animals and their animals, right? And I think whether it's the counseling piece or because it kind of all is counseling in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can do it officially. Before, I had to like disclaimer, like I'm not a counselor, so I can't do this officially, but this is what I'm seeing, right? And I think that with people and their animals or even their kids, okay, so this can relate to children, is that sometimes it's not them, it's us.
Okay.
And being able to acknowledge like parents, for example, they do the best they can, God bless them, because like I said, all my kids are four-legged and fuzzy. So anybody, you're a parent and you do the best you can. But sometimes it's like you're so close to the situation, it's hard to see what's going on, or it's hard for your kids to open up to you, right? So sometimes being able to have a conversation with parents or even like owners of animals that are not acting or um, competing or not doing what the people want them to do. We have to
So
remember
they,
that, yeah, that they are individuals too, that they, and again, not to put personal or people, characteristics onto animals, but really, like, if historically they were domesticated by people,
yeah,
they were not meant to be, pets, basically. So we have to keep remembering that. And with kids, we have to remember, like, developmentally, they are at a certain stage. So some of the stuff that we're seeing, we may not like,
but
but it's pretty normal developmentally, for like siblings to fight, or for, teenagers to like say, hey, parent, I really don't want to talk to you right now. I'd rather talk to
true.
my
Yep.
friends or stick my head in, social media or whatever. So we just have to like, I mean, unfortunately, like I'm old enough that we never had cell phones and we didn't have to worry about that. But, today's day and age, that's part of the whole process. And sometimes we have to like understand. And so, for example, if, I'm working with a horse and maybe their owner, and it's really hard to accept the fact that it might not be the horse, it might not be the child, it may be us. And that is probably one of the biggest challenges, I think, with working not only with children and families, right? Because there's not just the child, there's the
Hmm.
family,
It's so true.
whatever it looks like. And with animals, and sometimes people have a disconnect with their animals, and it's like, okay, so what has changed? What has changed in your life, right?
Well, when you think about change and that, we all go through periods of change in our life. And I just want to bring up, I know now around the holidays, right? We have Thanksgiving here. Lots of change, there's when you think about loss, you think about grief. I feel like this is now the time where people need the most guidance, the most help. And yeah, and it's always a scary thing, but with the holidays here, do you find a lot more people in need of your work and your horse's work and that personal communication and touch? Share your experiences if you don't mind with those around this time of year and most people who are suffering.
And I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, my dad passed away unexpected. Well, we knew it was coming, but it was very quick. It was like two
Never,
months.
yeah.
And I
Mm-hmm.
brought that up last time we talked, and he was here in February of 2012 and he was gone in April of 2012 when I was building the property. And we, going through the holidays, the birthdays, the all of that, it's really, hard for people that have lost somebody anytime a birthday comes up, or anniversary or whatever the case may be. Also, children that are of parents who have separated and now they have two homes,
Yeah,
right? It's like, and the different dynamics and the two homes, and how do you transition,
yeah,
or how do you help them transition from one home to the other and have them be happy in both places? And you don't always get parents that are on the same page, to be honest with you, um, which is sad.
but
Uh, and it goes back to that whole ego thing, and like, okay, you know, think about your child, think about where they're at, think about, what they're going through and how difficult it is for them who love you both to be in one place or the other, and it's just, and I have had some families that's really challenging, and it's very hard to sometimes work with parents that are not on the same page because you want to respect who they are and what they're doing, but also when I have a child that I'm working with, they're my person, and I need to protect them and help, but it's not always seen the same on both sides. So,
Mhm.
working with the animals, when you do bring families in and you work with the animals, I mean, like I said before, it's horses give you an instantaneous response. Like if your ego is up here, they're going to be like, not so much. One, I'm not coming to you. One, I'm not doing whatever you want me to do because I don't trust you.
Mhm.
So that's, in working with families, that is where the horses really help. Um, does it go well all the time? No.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes
No.
people don't get it. Sometimes it really does. Yeah. And there is one case. I don't think I told you this last time, but I had a father who was working with a child, and I have a horse. Well, actually, all my horses kind of, run the
Have a lot of
roost.
horses, yes.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
they run the roost. But this one particular horse, you really have to listen to which hoof he wants picked up to actually pick it out. Okay. And the child that I was working with for quite a few weeks at the time knew what was going on. And I said,
Okay.
okay, so why don't you like ask your dad to pick the horse's hoofs? I will help you. You're going to explain, you're going to instruct him the way I instructed you, and I will help you along the way. If you get stuck, you just let me know. So this child was doing it, and the dad was trying to force the hoof up, like trying to push on the horse and
Mm.
pick your hoof up and blah, blah, blah. And whatever. And that horse was like stubborn. Hooves planted, not moving. And so the
Oh,
kid was kind of chuckling, really chuckling, actually, because he knew what was going on. And so the dad was like exasperated and he's like, I can't pick this hoof up. I don't know. I can't do it. So,
yeah.
and the kid goes over and does it,
Oh my.
picks it right up. So the dad's like, well, what is going on here? And I said, well, did you ask the horse if you could pick its hoof up? And he's like, what? Are you serious? Like right now? He thought it was crazy. And I said, why don't you just say KC was the horse? He's a quarter horse, and he had a sorted background. But I said, just ask him. Say, KC, will you please pick your hoof up? Guess what
Wow.
happened? No joke.
Really?
He's like he was very it took him like about 10 minutes to chill out and be like, all right, fine, whatever, he said. I said, no, you have to be really honest about it. You have to be like, you really want the horses to pick his hoof up, and you really need to ask him. And so he did. And he picked his hoof up.
Wow. Oh, I
So
got goosebumps.
so in relating to people, sometimes you can't force people to do things, right? You
Yeah.
need to ask permission. You need to be able to adapt.
Wow. And it's amazing, right? And because you have this other, like a fifth, sixth sense, I should say. And that's amazing that you got the hoof up like that. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love hearing the positive stories. I love hearing, could you share another story, about
Well,
how,
and and the dad, so carrying on for this one, the dad was like, and so the end discussion was like, are you forcing your kid to do stuff? Are you forcing your family members to do things? Are you pushing instead of asking, and
mm,
inviting? And so the bottom line is, yeah, he was just he just had this ego that was up here that he, for whatever reason, and, it probably had something to do with the way he was brought up.
yeah,
I mean, we talk about, childhood experiences and how they can shape us.
that's so
And
true.
yeah. So this is kind of, and looking forward, I think at the next, one of these times, well, I will drag you guys around. Um,
Please.
I will. And please, anybody that wants to ask any questions or if they have ideas of what they want to hear about. But I think, I really want to kind of move into also like the rehabilitation of horses and people, like healing for horses and people together. Maybe in 2 weeks when we regroup, and how that can look.
Absolutely. Would love that. Oh my goodness. That's right. Because we have Thanksgiving next Thursday, so we're not on. Yeah, you're right.
Uh,
What do you have planned for next week, by the way?
We are going to have a very small, all my relatives are spread all over the United States. So we're going to have a very, very small gathering. And my boyfriend also has his family, so we'll probably get together. But it's also hunting season. I'm not a big fan of hunting, but I get people hunting. And it ends, of course, Thanksgiving weekend. So,
Okay.
so that's what most people will be doing that we know. So sorry about my fax machine. Um, yeah, so but I do reflect and I do encourage other people to reflect on, what they're thankful for. And this time of year when I'm, working with my kids and my families, you know, I I encourage them to kind of look within. And
Mm-hmm.
we just did a big community dinner with my agency that I
Oh,
work for outside of here, and it was wonderful. I mean, we did like 150 dinners. We didn't
okay.
have everybody come, but we also delivered to a bunch of people. And it
Oh,
was just nice to have our children's, because I work in children's at our local human services agency. And it was just nice to have all of our staff helping and doing like together. And we had so much fun. And it was like a well-oiled machine. We all, jumped in and helped out. And that was a couple of weeks ago on a Saturday. I guess it was 3 weeks ago, coming this Saturday. So it was just nice, and so just thinking about those things and thinking how thankful you are to have the people that are with you now, and yeah, and your animals, of course.
oh, it's beautiful. I know. And it's, you got to be thankful. We got to be grateful for all we have. And this is just the time of year someone might need us, their animal owner, a pet, right? It's
Yeah.
just, you got to be gracious. You got to be giving. You got to be kind and understanding. And who takes care of the animals when you're not there? Just curious. How does that work?
Well, I'm here most of the time, but I do have friends that can jump in with, some notice. My mom is 82, believe it or not,
Oh my
and
gosh.
but she is, she's right here and she's doing things, and my longtime boyfriend also helps out, and I do have wonderful neighbors that also help out, and my boarders that help out when I'm not here. I haven't taken a vacation a really long time, other than a day.
Oh
So
my gosh. So you're like, you're
it was
due. You're
mostly me.
due. Oh my God. Well,
Well,
thank you.
you take on the responsibility, right?
I
So you
know.
just, yeah.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, same. I get it. I get it. I got 7 and 9 year old. We just did a mini vacation. We went to New York City for the night. Mini. We go to Hershey Park.
Exactly.
Mini. We might go to Busch Gardens. 2 days. Mini. Too hard
You
to
know what?
stay
It
away too long.
counts. It counts.
And it's about making the memories and the most of it with everyone. I really, truly
Abs-
believe that. And at Raining Hope, I know you're helping so many. And if someone wants to reach out to you, while we're already out of time. Wow. How do we contact you again? Sorry.
I would go ahead and just shoot me an email at KRIS 12MASE@gmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you here and looking forward to the next time we get to connect. You have a fantastic day, okay?
See you too, Jill, and
Thank
happy
you.
Thanksgiving to
Happy
everybody.
Thanksgiving to you. Bye,
I'll see you in a
sweetheart.
couple
Thank you.
weeks. Bye.
You got it. Bye-bye. Bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.